What's up, everyone? Good morning and welcome to Palm Sunday. It's our online Sunday morning Water's Edge worship experience. Once again, thank you so very much for tuning in and hanging out with us today. For those of you that continue to like and share our online worship experiences, or if you continue to invite people to our live and in-person services every single Sunday at 9:30 and 11:15, thank you so very much for doing that. Continue to do that. We have new people tuning in and showing up every single week, getting help with their heart and their life and their faith and their circumstances and their walk with God. Also, for those of you that continue to worship with us every single week, not just through song and not just through teaching, but also through a very beautiful and holy and sacred way to worship, and that's through givings and offerings and generosity. Thank you so very much for doing that. In fact, today is our Ripple Effect I Love My Church offering, and we're asking everyone who came live today just to bring an extra $15 for the offering today. If we can all do that together, then those small gifts end up being a big ripple effect of love and ministry. But if you're watching online today, you can give online, you can text it in, or you can get online to our giving platform and maybe send in an extra few bucks today for our I Love My Church offering. If you love your church, help us out today with worshiping through giving and generosity. For God so loved the world that He gave, and when we love, we give. When we love God, when we love God's church, and when we love the mission that Jesus has for His local church and our local community, we want to give back. And every time you worship with us through giving and offerings, you allow us to help more people, reach more people, baptize more people, minister to more people, help more people by feeding them, sheltering them, and showing our city and our community the body of Christ, the love of God, and the compassion of Jesus. Okay, once again, today is Palm Sunday, and in Matthew chapter 21, in fact, all through the Gospels, we find this scene. But in Matthew chapter 21, we find Jesus on a colt or on a donkey, and He's riding into Jerusalem. And this is right before He weeps over Jerusalem and right before He prays over Jerusalem because His heart is broken because they don't see and understand the love of God yet. They don't see and understand the plan that God has for them and how Jesus did not come to be an earthly king, but the king of our hearts and to set up a new kingdom because He is the King of kings and the Lord of lords. But they thought He was going to be an earthly king to set them free from Roman oppression. So as He's riding a donkey or a colt into Jerusalem, He has this massive crowd that's following Him, and they're laying down some of their clothes, some of their garments, and they're also laying down palm branches. Now, the palm branch back then in the days of Jesus meant this. It meant victory through peace. And let me tell you why that's so significant. Because when you have victory in your life, that's what gives you peace. And I don't know what battle you're fighting today. You could be fighting a battle on the inside. You can be fighting a battle with yourself. You can be fighting battles in your mind, in your emotions. You can be fighting battles that you didn't cause, but maybe battles in your circumstances, maybe caused by other people, or maybe just uncontrollable circumstances that just kind of strike your life out of nowhere. I don't know what battles that you're facing today, but whatever battles you're facing, whenever you have victory over those battles, it gives you peace. And in this series, this is what we've been talking about. We're talking about finding joy by finding peace, and specifically peace with God and peace with the other people in our life. And when we have victory in these areas, we have victory that produces peace. So this is what the palm branch means when they were laying this down at the feet of Jesus as He was making His triumphal entry into Jerusalem, as if to say, this Jesus won't have victory by defeating His enemies. This Jesus will have victory by loving and forgiving His enemies, by being the King of kings and the Prince of peace. The palm branch. Victory, not through power, victory through peace. And people who follow Jesus are people of peace. All right, so today we continue with our current Easter series, and this Easter series is called Find Out the Truth. Next Sunday is Easter. Don't watch us online next week unless you're out of town. Come see us live. Come to the experience live and in person. You will not regret it. It will be an amazing service, and bring your hurting friends along with you because we will love all over them. But this study, this is what we've been talking about. We've been talking about getting victory over those roadblocks in our life that hold our life back from true joy and true happiness, and specifically those religious, those fundamentalist, legalistic, religious roadblocks that have been shameful, judgmental roadblocks from religion that have been placed in our life that hold us back from joy. And like I've been telling you over the past few weeks, and this is so key, everyone that I know and everyone that you know is on a very specific journey, on a very specific search, and on a very specific quest. And this is what it is. Most of us, if we're really being honest, we're not primarily in our life searching for knowledge or truth. Even though as people who follow Jesus, we are searching for knowledge and truth, but it's not the main search of our life. And in fact, I'll just tell you this, and people may disagree with this, but if you say this is not true, you're lying to yourself. Your primary search in life is not after holiness either. It's not. Even though we do search for that as people who love Jesus. Your primary search is not for more accountability and more integrity. You didn't come to church today and you didn't tune in online today because your primary quest and the primary search of your life is for holiness. No. The primary search for our life, my life, and your life is for happiness. It's for joy. Because deep down we know this will give us peace. When I live with joy, when I live a life that's happy, then deep down, I have peace. And we would all be lying today if we said we didn't want those two things, happiness and peace. That's what we're all searching for. We are all searching for happiness that brings us peace. A few months ago, I went out to eat with the crew, with some friends of mine, some people from the church. And after we finished our meal, we were just hanging out and finishing up our conversations and nibbling on the extra food that was left over. And as we were leaving, someone that I didn't recognize, but they recognized me and they recognized us from the Water's Edge, walked up to me and they handed me a napkin. And on that napkin was written a handwritten note, a handwritten letter. And it said this on that napkin. It said, several years ago, I was in one of the darkest places of my life. And then I found the Water's Edge, and the Water's Edge helped me understand how much Jesus loved me. That's what they said in this note. I was in a dark place. The Water's Edge helped me understand how much Jesus loved me, and that changed my life and pulled me out of that dark place. And it said this in that note, thank you all so much for doing what you do. And I got to be honest, that was very humbling to me. I still have that napkin and that note. I keep it with me in my Bible. I hold on to it. Normally, something like that would only happen every once in a while, not too often. But since the hurricanes and since the pandemic and since people have been going through so much heaviness since then, it's been happening more frequently and over and over and over again. I got a message the other day from someone else who attends the Water's Edge, and they went on to tell me about how difficult their personal life was and how difficult their personal circumstances and their personal storms were. And he told me this. This is what he said in the message. He says, Pastor Tony and the leaders at the Water's Edge, please never stop doing what y'all are doing. Please never stop following Jesus the way that y'all are following Jesus, because the love of God that I experienced at that place helped me recover from the dark place I was in my life. It pulled me out of the dark place that I was going through in my life. Also, again, just this past week, I was at the store, the neighborhood Walmart downtown, and a lady who comes to the church, again, I didn't recognize, she stopped me, and she goes, Pastor Tony, you don't know me, but thank you. I said, thank you for what? She goes, thank you for listening to God. Thank you all for starting the Water's Edge. Since I've been attending the Water's Edge, it has pulled me out of some of the darkest times of my life. And then she said this, because now I understand how much God loves me. That's what she said. She goes, because of you guys, I understand the love of Jesus. And she said, thank you. Let me share my heart with you today. Dark times, tough times, confusing times, heavy times, stressful times, exhausting times in our mind and in our heart, uncertain times. These are very common phrases and words that have been told to me over the past few years by people who come to our church and by people in the community, because I do a lot of things in the community that has nothing to do with our church. Just about every person in our area who doesn't have a pastor and they don't have a church to attend, I get called to do their funerals or their family's funerals. And so I have a lot of relationships, and I minister to a lot of people who don't even come to our church. And over the years, from everybody, this is what I've heard: dark times, tough times, uncertain times, confusing times, painful times. But another theme I always hear has been this. And this always encourages my heart. And notice this today. If you're still with me, say I'm still with you. Understanding God's love has helped me pull through. When people say that y'all helped us understand the love of Jesus, and that is what helped me pull through of some of the darkest times of my life. Not just God's love, but understanding God's love. Not just the love of Jesus, but personally experiencing through a real relationship the love of Jesus. Even Jesus said it this way in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 32. And notice this today: and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. It's not just the truth of God's love that sets you free. You got to know it. It's got to be personal to you. You have to have an experience with the real love of Jesus and the real love of God. But what happens to us in our mind in this dark place? Why does this happen? What happens to us? Whenever something challenging happens to us, our mind, and I've told you this so many times before, our mind does two things really well, and both of these things are not good. Let me say that again. In fact, the one thing that our mind should do, we don't do this well at all, and we hardly ever do this. But our mind and our thoughts and our thinking does two things really well. And both of these things are very, very dangerous, and they're not good for our mental health, our emotional health, or our spiritual life and our walk with Jesus. But this is what happens. Our mind goes from yesterday to tomorrow, from yesterday to tomorrow, over and over again. Our brain does this really well. It reprocesses the past all the time, and that produces regret. How could I? Why did I? Why didn't I? What was I thinking? Our mind is always just reprocessing the past and all the things that we wish we would have never done or said or been involved in, or all those things we wish we would have avoided, or I wish I'd have been more controlled in this area. I wish I'd have saw those red flags. I wish I'd have made this decision sooner. All these thoughts come up because our mind is always reprocessing the past. And when our mind reprocesses the past, what does that produce? Guilt and regret. The second thing our mind does really well is it worries about the future. It worries about tomorrow, which is not here yet. And so we're always worrying about what's going to happen. How am I going to deal with this? How am I going to face this? What happens if I have to face this? What am I going to do? And so our mind is always going from yesterday to tomorrow. When we always focus on the future too, when we're always stuck on tomorrow, what does that produce in our mind? Worry, fear, and anxiety, because I don't know what I'm going to do about tomorrow. So now I'm worried about it. Now I have fear about it. Now I have anxiety about it. I did something in my past. There may be some consequences from that in my future. I haven't faced them yet. What's going to happen when I do? So there's more fear. There's more anxiety. And our mind ping-pongs back and forth from the past to tomorrow, from the past to the future. Get what that does. And because it goes from the past to the future, that means our mind is always going from guilt to fear, from regret to anxiety, from guilt and shame to uncertainty. Always. Our mind is always spinning from the past to the future, from guilt, shame, and regret to worry, anxiety, and fear. This is what happens when we do this, and notice this today. If you're still with me, say I'm still with you. The past produces regret, and the future produces fear. When we constantly look back, then our mind gets bombarded. Why did I? How could I? Why didn't I see it? Guilt, shame, and regret is filling my mind. And then when our mind switches to tomorrow, we start to worry. How am I going to deal with this? And you have to understand, 99% of the things that we worry about in the future will never happen. 99% won't. Most of our fears are based on our uncertainty about what's going to happen tomorrow. How am I going to deal with this? How am I going to face this? How am I going to have victory over this? Am I ever going to have peace? And so during difficult personal times, our mind gets stuck in this pattern from regret, past thinking, to worry, fear, and anxiety, future thinking. From guilt, past thinking, to worry, fear, and anxiety, future thinking. And we get bombarded daily with guilt and fear. And so let me ask you this question. What does the past and the future leave out? Today, right now, which is all we got. The past leaves out today. The future leaves out today. And today is all we got. Which is, by the way, the only moment we have control over. This moment. Right now. So what we can do in this moment right now to keep us from living that dark cycle of thinking and worrying and being overwhelmed with guilt and fear, this is how we can keep our mind in a healthy, positive place in this moment. It's when we keep it on right now, here today, in the present moment. It's when we fight that battle and we stop letting our mind go to the past to reprocess it. You can't press rewind and change it anyway. You can't go back. And we try to keep our mind from always going to the future and worrying about it. You can't press fast forward and time hop and go try to change anything. It's out of your control. All you have is today. And so we need to center our soul, center our faith, center our heart, and center our thinking on right now, here today. Right now, some of you that are listening to me, you're thinking about what you're going to do when this is over. You're already going to the future. Already. Stop. Be present. In this moment, let the past slow down. Let the future slow down and be present right now in this moment. You say, Pastor Tony, how can I do all of that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Notice what the apostle says in the letter of 1 John chapter 4, verses 18 through 19. Notice this on the screen. Such love has no fear, because perfect love will drive out our fear. It expels all fear. If we're afraid, it's for fear of punishment, and that shows that we have not fully experienced the perfect love of Jesus. We love each other because He loved us first. We have peace with each other when we have peace with God. Ringing a bell? What truly makes you happy? What truly gives us joy? Anytime I meet somebody that has peace with Jesus and peace with the people in their life, that's a happy person. But the moment your peace with God is broken, and the moment your peace with the other people in your life is broken, that's what produces unhappiness, and that's what steals our joy. Notice the simple breakdown. God loves you perfectly. God's love can cast out your fear, but you must have a personal experience with the love of Jesus. We have to fully embrace and walk with Him intimately in our daily life. And that's very difficult to do if you let your mind always go to a dark place, always go into the past with guilt, and always go into the future with fear. In order to experience God's love comforting you right now, you have to focus your mind on the present. You have to focus your mind on right now, here today. This is why the psalmist said this in Psalms chapter 46, verse 10. And notice this, if you're still with me, say I'm still with you. Be still. Be present. Calm down. Stop. Stop your mind. Stop your heart from going to the past and reprocessing it over and over again, just making yourself feel more guilty. And stop going to the future and always wondering and worrying and being afraid how you're going to deal with it, how you're going to face it. Stop. Be still right now in this present moment and know, it says, that He is God. God says, I will be honored by every nation. I will be honored throughout the world. Be still in this moment, because in reality, it's all you got. Let me say that again. Be still in this moment, because in reality, it's all you have. And we have to know Him and know His love in a personal way. So understanding all that, here's a few things that can center our thinking on what will give us joy. Let me give you a few on Palm Sunday, practical applications on how you can have victory that brings you peace, just like the palm branch represents. What are some action steps we can do with our faith to put our faith into action, to center our mind and to center our heart, and to make sure that we have these amazing experiences with the love of Jesus? So the first thing is this: instead of the cycle of regret and fear, number one, focus on solutions instead of problems or obstacles. This is what Jesus taught us to do. Don't focus on the mountain, focus on a faith that'll move that mountain. So focus on solutions. Don't focus on your problems or on your obstacles. When you always focus on the problems, then you get stuck of that dark cycle of regret thinking from the past and worryful thinking from the future. But what always brings us back to this present moment is not to dwell on the problem, not to dwell on the pain, not to dwell on the confusion or the obstacle, but instead to focus on the solution to bring you back to this. And remember this today. To focus on the solution to bring you back to this. And remember this today. Notice this. What can I do today to overcome this? Not about what am I going to do tomorrow if it comes back? No, we're not there yet. We have that's why God told us to take a Sabbath. To be present in the moment. Rest. Be still. What can you do today? Stop trying to fix the past. You can't. Don't worry about what you're going to face tomorrow. It's not here. What can you do today to have victory over this instead of guilt from the past and fear from the future? Next thing is this. Some adversities can only be handled day by day. You cannot go back and change the past. You can't go to the future and change the future and control it. So sometimes with some battles, the only thing you can do is just take it day by day. Some of you are fighting such intense battles right now. And I know this may sound cliche, but we live in a world of cliches. Just take it day by day. You say, Pastor Tony, I'm fighting a bad pattern. Then just don't give into it today. You say, well, what about tomorrow? Tomorrow's not here. Just don't worry about it right now. Just make it to your bed tonight in victory over that pattern. You say, Pastor Tony, I have an addiction. I don't know what to do. Then just stay clean today. You say, well, what about tomorrow? Tomorrow will deal with itself when it gets here. But just make it to your bed tonight clean. You say, Pastor Tony, I'm dealing with exhaustion. I don't even know if I want to be alive anymore. I'm so tired on the inside. I despair of my life. Listen, don't worry about tomorrow and all the problems that may be there. Just stay alive today, please. Please. Make it to your bed tonight alive today. And then the other battles that we face on smaller scales. Face it today. Don't worry about how you're going to deal with it tomorrow. It's not here. Just face it day by day. Whatever battle your personal life or your circumstances are in, instead of looking at that battle and in your mind, go into the past and asking this question. What did I do to deserve this? And then you go to the future and you ask this question. Now, what can I do right to get God to fix this? That's such a false equation. That's not how life works with Jesus. Anytime something difficult strikes our life, we always ask those two questions. We go to the past and the future. What did I do wrong back then to deserve this? And what can I do right tomorrow to get God to fix this? And that's not how it works with Jesus. You face your battle right now, here today, head on. The next thing is this. Make path corrections when you need to. Now, this may be one of the most important verses that I ever share with you. It's so real and it's so practical, and it teaches us a principle that's always helped my life out whenever I needed clarity. Some of you need clarity right now. This will help you out. Proverbs 27, verse 12. A prudent or a wise person can foresee danger, and they take precautions. But the simple person goes blindly on, and they suffer the consequences. Notice what the author of this verse says. It says that someone who's wise can look at the road that they're on, and they can tell, this road is leading me towards danger. I don't want to end up in that destination. This bad road's going to take me to a bad place. I foresee where this road is going, so I'm going to course correct and get on a better road that'll take me to a better place. But then it says the foolish, the foolish know this road is not going to a good place, but it sure is fun. So I'm just going to keep on going down and just hopefully it'll work out. And it never works out. If you're self-aware enough to see that your path patterns are going to lead you to regret, guilt, and harm, if you're self-aware enough to see that, and if you're wise enough to change directions, then that's always going to bring you down a road, and at the end of that road is a destination of joy and peace. And the great thing about God today is this: you may be on the wrong road right now, because each different area of our life is on a pathway. And wherever that area of your life ends up is going to be determined by the pathway that you place it on. Let's get real practical. Your relationship with Jesus is on a pathway. It may be a good pathway, it may not be. But if you want your relationship with Jesus to end up in a good, peaceful, strong place, you better place your life on that road that's going to get you there, and get off of the road that's taking you away from there. What road is your health on right now? Whatever road you have placed your health on and your health habits on right now is going to determine where your health ends up. What about your finances? What about your walk with God? Whatever area of your life you place on a certain road, that road's going to determine where it ends up. So always make sure you put it on a wise road that's going to bring you to a good destination. But you know what you can't do? You can't go back and change the past. And you can't go back and change the roads that you allowed yourself to go down. And you cannot control what may surprisingly happen to you in the future. You can't do that. You say, Pastor Tony, I went down roads in the past I wish I wouldn't have. You can't go back and change that. And you can't change what's waiting for you in the future. But one thing you can do right now, here, today, on Palm Sunday, is this, and notice this today. You can build your preferred future by getting on a wiser path in life as you follow Jesus. The foolish in this verse says this: they see danger ahead of them. They see possible danger in their choices, in their impulses, in their finances, in their habits, in their patterns, in their life. They just keep on going. But a wise person who's truly following Jesus, they can see all of that waiting for them, and they change direction. You can't control your future surprises, but you can build a happier future. You can build a joyful future and a more peaceful future. And that's what we're all looking for today. We're all looking for joy and peace, happiness and peace. You can do that today by placing all the different areas of your life on better pathways. And if you do, you will find joy. Remember, the wise see danger ahead of them, and they change directions, because we know whatever road we place our life on is going to determine where our life ends up. And I don't know about you, but I want my life to end up in a place of joy and happiness that's full of life and a place of peace. And it's Jesus and our relationship with Jesus that brings us to that place. And we're thankful for Him today. We're thankful that it's Palm Sunday. We're thankful for the cross. And the cross tells us that we can have victory through peace. And when we do have victory, it always brings us peace, which is what we're all looking for today. And that peace comes from God. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us today. Don't forget about our I Love My Church offering. Now continue to stay tuned in for an amazing time of worship with the amazing Water's Edge worship team. We cannot wait to see you back next week. Come see us live and in person on Easter. We love you all.